You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona, and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this. You know, humans, we have incredibly short lifespans, and we're pretty awful at figuring out where things fall, like on a timeline, like relative to when things happened. Maybe you guys have played the tabletop game Timelines. You ever played this?
Never heard of it. Sorry.
No, what is that?
It's like a game where you get little like cards that have things that happen in historical events, and you have to put them in the right order. And even when there are things that happened like in your lifetime, turns out it's really hard to remember when things even happened that you know about. And when you start getting into historical stuff, it's even harder. And people often get surprised to learn that like the order things happened. For example, one of the fun things out there online is that a lot of people talk about Cleopatra actually lived closer to the invention of podcasts than she did to the building of the Great Pyramids.
I did know that actually.
Yeah, or that like Oxford University is a couple hundred years older than the Aztec civilization. Or that fax machines were invented about the same time the United States issued the first postage stamps, which was also around when the Liberty Bell first cracked. So like these are things we don't think go together on a timeline, right?
Kirk,
so
I'm still stuck on fax machines. Sorry.
Right. Also, I'm not
right?
surprised in the slightest that is a board game that you have played.
Oh, sure. I have several editions of it. I'll have you over to play sometime.
I'd love that.
So I think, we're bad about thinking about times in terms of just like a few lifetimes, like how things happen. It gets even messier when we go back further in time. And so that's a little bit about what I talk about today. I want to talk about how long things have been around. I think when people think about periods of time, sort of your average person thinks about modern time, ancient human history, and then dinosaurs. And I think in a lot of people's minds, that's how the history of the Earth is broken up. It's now, old people, and dinosaurs.
I'm pretty sure there was something between there, wasn't there?
Well, there's a whole lot of stuff, yeah. And the problem is that we probably weight human history far too heavily in the history of the Earth. In fact, if you were to compress the entire history of the Earth into one 24-hour period, dinosaurs don't actually show up until a little bit after 11 p.m. in that day. So most of the Earth's history, dinosaurs, like they only show up at the very end. And the dinosaurs are pretty new, but so are humans then, because we came much later. Humans probably show up somewhere in Africa at about 11:59 and 23 seconds. So like just about 30 seconds before the entire day is over. It's like, oh, hey, humans, right? But that's not even modern humans. Like modern humans that have something we would recognize as more the sort of humans who have language and tools and things like that show up 2 seconds before midnight. And those 2 seconds represent 100,000 years of human history.
Kirk, why are you giving me an existential crisis?
Well, when we start thinking about history, the point is that like we are really bad about visualizing this, right? So it's fun to have some tools like that. So most of the history on Earth obviously happens well before those last 2 seconds. And most of it actually happens before the dinosaurs actually happen, which is only in that last like half hour of the day. So I want to think about today, what are those things that are around today that are older than dinosaurs? So that's my topic for today. Now, before I go into this list, we need to kind of think about this because I should point out that the age of the dinosaurs is not one thing. Most of the dinosaurs we think of are from the Cretaceous time period, which was from about 65 to 144 million years ago. These are the big famous ones like T-Rex, Velociraptor, Parasaurolophus, Deinonychus. And before that,
I thought they were in the Jurassic time, yeah.
Right, because Jurassic Park ruined this for everybody, right? So Jurassic period is when you have things like Stegosaurus and the long-necked dinosaurs like Apatosaurus and the like. But be very clear, Velociraptors and T-Rex and say the Apatosaurus may have been together in Jurassic Park the movie. They are not both from the Jurassic time period.
I guess Cretaceous Park just didn't quite have the same.
It does
ring to
not
it.
sound as good. No, it certainly doesn't. So the Jurassic was from 144 to 206 million years ago, and then you also have the Triassic. And the Triassic, there really aren't any famous dinosaurs from the Triassic that the average person has heard of. Possibly. Here's the thing, like, the Triassic is when dinosaurs were sort of first coming on the scene. So a lot of the classic ones you learn as a kid, the big famous ones, are from the Jurassic and the Cretaceous. But there certainly were things we call dinosaurs during the Triassic. The Triassic was 206 to 248 million years ago, which I know is meaningless to humans. Like, those numbers don't mean a lot to us.
That just skates across the surface of my brain.
Like,
okay.
Oh yeah,
well,
that's
again,
a lot. I have no idea what that means, but that's a lot.
Because we're horrible at picturing time, I do have to point out one of my favorite facts which is that we are closer in history to the T-Rex than the T-Rex was to the Stegosaurus.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, again, the age of the dinosaurs lasted for hundreds of millions of years. So it, compared to how long humans have been on the earth, is just like this tiny little blip. And we're bad at picturing even how long a human lifespan is. So just bear that in mind as we go through these.
Oh, man.
So everything on my list doesn't necessarily predate all dinosaurs, but they at least predate some dinosaurs. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. First up, we got bees.
Yes.
So
Right.
bees, I know, we love bees. They're from the Cretaceous time period, so they're at least as old as some dinosaurs. They don't fossilize real well, as you can imagine, so we don't know exactly when they arose, but we're pretty sure that they came about when flowering plants became a thing, which was during the Cretaceous at some point. So this first one's a little bit of a cheat, but I'm going alphabetically. So dinosaurs, or bees, probably predated some dinosaurs.
I'll take
Fair
it.
enough?
I'll take
thank
it.
you. How
I
about
like bees.
brachiopods?
What a pod?
Remind me what those are.
Brachiopods, these are, like a bivalve in the ocean. They have two shells,
Oh, yeah.
but they are uneven. So the two halves are not the same size.
So not
All
a
right,
clam.
Yeah. So brachiopods, at one point were like the dominant, like, underwater life. They're still around today, but not anywhere. They never recovered from their fall from greatness, but they were around 530 million years ago. I will remind you, the Triassic ended 248 million years ago.
Wow.
So that is double
than twice.
the amount of time,
Yeah.
which breaks my brain. All right. We also have cockroaches. I know you
Of
love
course.
cockroaches. They're
have
from the
some in my room.
Carboniferous period, which is 360 million years ago. So cockroaches predate dinosaurs by 112 million years.
People aren't going to like that.
I don't like it at all. I really don't like cockroaches.
And I'll take a little time out here to remind you that, things evolve over time. So
Right.
these animals that were back then are not going to look exactly the same as the ones we have now, but they are very close relatives, and you would recognize them as what they were. A lot of them were actually larger in the past, which people also won't like.
Yeah.
Crocodilians. Crocodilians, 251 million years ago in the Mesozoic. So again, 251, that's before the Triassic. Crocodilians are going to be today things like crocodiles and alligators. Again, they were not exactly crocodiles, not exactly alligators, but you would recognize them for what they were.
Yeah. My uncle has one in his backyard named Fred.
There you go. So if we have, those are all animals, right? So I want to talk about plants as well. Ferns. Ferns are very early plants that reproduce through spores. 360 million years ago, they were around with the cockroaches.
Ooh.
And pine trees. Okay, pine trees. Now, this one's a little hard to say exactly when they came, but maybe as much as 153 million years ago, which does predate all of the Cretaceous dinosaurs.
Wow.
Pretty impressive. Ginkgo trees. Now, the three of us, we are professional naturalists here in Minnesota. We have a lot of ginkgo trees in Minnesota, pretty much thanks to one nursery here in the Twin Cities that decided they wanted to import tons of these and make them a tree
Street trees.
we have all over the place.
Yeah, there's street trees everywhere.
And they're pretty cool. They go back 298 million years. Now, not the exact ones we have now, but members of this ginkgo family. They're from the Permian. So they are before
my God.
all of the dinosaurs.
Oh wow! So do you
Most
think
other
that their
trees- yeah.
fruit? Do you think that their fruit still smelled like dog poop back that long ago?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one of the things they've tried really hard, I know where we live, is to only plant the male trees so that we
course.
don't get the fruit,
But then
because the
there's the
fruit
pollen.
is stinky. Now here's the thing: most of the trees people are familiar with are angiosperms. So think like maples, oaks, things like that. They evolved with the flowering plants in the Cretaceous time period.
Right.
So but not the pines and not the ginkgos. How about sea stars, or what some people call starfish, which I hate that
Yeah,
name. Sea
love 'em.
stars.
Sea
Yep,
stars.
they're early Jurassic. Sea turtles,
Hmm?
Jurassic.
Yes.
Sharks. Oh my gosh,
Ooh,
sharks.
sharks are so
Oh,
cool.
Sharks predate the Triassic 450 million years ago.
Wow.
They predate the Triassic by a long shot. Now,
They're-
sharks that start to look more familiar, that would look more familiar to us, are more from the time of the dinosaurs, but something that was very clearly a shark was around 450 million years ago.
This is one of my special topics that I was really into as a kid, or even into high school. I've done a lot of research projects on sharks. So,
Yeah,
man.
when you were a kid, sure. Like last week is what you're saying. You're really into. I'm not saying you
still
were
into
really
sharks.
young. I'm just saying, yeah, you're still into sharks, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, very much.
How about horseshoe crabs? I love this one. Horseshoe crabs are 445 million years ago, right at the beginning of the Triassic. And horseshoe crabs are pretty special because they pretty much look the same now as they did then. They are probably the animal that has changed the least over time. Not exactly the same, but they have evolved very little because they're really successful. This design sort of works. And horsetails. Now, you might know what horsetails are. Some people may not.
Yeah,
Horsetails are a plant.
Mm-hmm.
They grow in marshy areas. Some people call them tinker toys because you can kind of pop the different segments apart. They are from
They're
the
a lot of fun.
Carboniferous period, so back with the cockroaches. And this is where all the coal in the world comes from, was pretty much from giant forests of horsetails. They could grow to be 100 feet tall. Trees were not around there. So basically they were taking that niche of what trees fill now. So there were enormous horsetails on Earth, these really cool plants, and they predate the dinosaurs, and you can go down to a wet spot today and find them growing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my mind is pretty much splattered on the walls here. Sorry, that was really gross.
Nice. I will say, how dare you give me an existential crisis again?
That's what I'm here for, Rachel. I'll tell you what, you got a little bit of time to recover. We're going to go for a break, and then it's your turn to be up. Kirk here with a quick note. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It helps other lovers of the strange find our show. You can also find and follow us on social media. Search for Strange by Nature Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or come visit us at strangebynaturepodcast.com. We'll see you there. Now, back to the show.
All right, now that we've all been, our brains are everywhere due to Kirk's existential timing here, I'm going to talk about a koala.
Aww.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
so
those
cute.
people who follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter have seen a little sneak preview of some. I'll just call it an interesting koala fact. Are you gonna?
It made him
touch
a
on
little
that
less
fact?
cute, to be honest.
It's a little tiny blip on my notes here. Now,
All right. Well, we'll keep it a secret. Keep you in suspense.
All right. So koalas, they are a marsupial, which is a type of mammal. There's 3 different types of mammals. There's the monotreme, the marsupial, and then there are the placental mammals, which is what is all over the planet most of the time. All of the time. So what qualifies a marsupial is that it uses a pouch to raise its own.
Qualifies?
I see what you did there.
That was not on purpose. So they have a pouch that they use to raise their young, right? So they come out of their mother's vagina and they just go right into the pouch and they attach themselves to a nipple. We're going to go with the scientific term. And they stay there for several weeks.
And they're really like undeveloped when they first are born, right?
Yes, they're extremely undeveloped. I'm not going to go too much into that, maybe another time. But what makes koalas interesting is they can live up to about 20 years in the wild, which is much longer than I thought koalas could live. I don't know about you guys. I'm like, koalas.
I don't know if I ever thought about it.
Yeah, I'm going to admit that the thought has never crossed my mind. I'm going to go, I would have thought 21 years. That's odd.
I think I maybe would have guessed like 12. So,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's like the maximum, because what happens is koalas themselves are generally not the most active animal. So they can live a little bit longer periods of time because they spend anywhere from 18 to 22 hours a day sleeping.
Oh, wow.
So, that sounds real relaxed.
They don't do much. They do not do much.
Is that related to their diet? Like, do they have not?
Is, yes. Okay. So the reason why they sleep that much is because of their diet, actually. So their diet consists mostly of eucalyptus leaves, and koalas actually are thought of as very fussy eaters because they get particular about which eucalyptus that they eat from which species of tree. Like they develop preferences for what eucalyptus leaves they eat, which poses a problem when you're rescuing them from like bushfires. But what happens is, so eucalyptus leaves are toxic, and while they have a lot of water in them, they don't provide a lot of energy to a koala or to anything. Eucalyptus leaves pretty much are advertising that they don't want to be eaten. Leave our leaves alone. Leave it alone.
Right. They are strictly for harvesting and putting on the floor of your shower to make it smell nice, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And so because it offers so little energy, and how koalas actually digest their food, what they do is they are what is called a hind fermenter, which means that they ferment the food in their lower intestine, and that can take anywhere from 100 to 200 hours.
Wait.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, wow.
In the wild, they can ferment eucalyptus leaves in their lower intestine for up to 100 hours. In captivity, it can be up to 200 hours.
So this is what they need to do to get all the nutrition out of the leaves?
Uh-huh.
No wonder they sleep all day.
Right? And that's only about 10% of their energy needs that comes from fermented leaves.
Now, are they getting the energy directly from the leaf itself? Or is there something about the fermentation process that is... I mean, it's fermentation. Is it creating an alcohol that they're then processing, or how does that work?
That's an excellent question. I didn't look too far into it, but what I gathered from it is that they're using the fermentation process to extract like fiber and protein from the leaves. So it's not so much the alcohol. It's not so much an alcohol. It's just breaking down that leaf because it's really tough, because they actually have a single chambered stomach. Mm-hmm. So unlike a lot of other herbivores.
Yeah, it sounds like something like a deer with the multi-chambered stomach. But if you only have one, that's real tough.
Yeah, so like cow, for example, has 4 chambers in their stomach that helps move grass and all that through. Koalas have one chamber, which is really tough because not only are they trying to get all of these leaves, and they eat up to a pound of eucalyptus leaves a day. They're not getting that much energy from it. This is also their source of water. They don't leave the tree generally to get water unless they're like an alpha male. Most of their water and nutrition comes from these eucalyptus leaves. And because these leaves are so tough, so koalas have specific chewing teeth. And after about 6 years, when they turn 6, their teeth start wearing down because these leaves are so tough.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike rodents who have continuously growing teeth, koalas do not have that. So a lot of koalas will actually die of starvation because their teeth wear down until they disappear and then they can't eat anymore.
Wow. I'm still confused though, Rachel, because I thought you said that they only got 10% of their energy from the leaves being fermented in their lower intestines. So
they don't just ferment. They don't just ferment eucalyptus leaves. They also just eat them. Sometimes if they want some need some added energy, they'll ferment them. They are a little more generalist too, so they'll eat some other things, but they don't just eat eucalyptus. That is their preferred food, though. It's a good question, though. What I also wanted to touch on is that what we shared actually in our post on our social media is so 90% of female koalas have chlamydia. It's about 73% of all koalas that have chlamydia, and which is a whole other problem, and it actually causes a lot of different issues because chlamydia is not a good disease to have. It can cause a lot of urinary tract infections and even blindness in some koalas. But the males, in order to mate with the females, even though they have chlamydia, what they'll do, and I learned this and I didn't know, what sound do you think koalas make? Do koalas make a sound?
When they're mating or in general?
To attract a female.
I don't know the
mate.
answer in either case.
I'd sort of imagine a kind of a groaning, grunting sound. I don't know.
But just because this is strange by nature, I'm going to say a blood-curdling scream, which I hope is wrong.
Should we make a sound that we think a koala makes?
I would love that. Please do. Okay.
Why are you making me do this? I'm going to guess they go like... I have nothing to base that on.
That's fair. So males are the primary communicators, and no joke, the descriptor was males communicate through loud bellows.
Okay, so grunts kind of, yeah.
Sort of. So it's a very low sounding tone, and when I listened to this, it sounded somewhere between like a pig and a dog growl with like a snore intonation. So, oh my goodness. It's kind of like a...
Rachel?
I know, Rachel, I need to.
You know that Victoria and I just made funny noises into the microphone. So
I know, it's my turn.
You can describe it all you want. People are demanding that we hear the Rachel impression of a koala. So
this is probably very wrong, but it's like a... type noise.
Wow, you know that's
Can
going
you do
in
that
the
type
you know that's
noise.
going in the preview for the episode. You understand?
Of course it is.
Okay.
That really cleared my sinuses.
Good. What did it do for your chlamydia? Does it work in or?
I'm really glad to say that it's all cleared up. I don't have any.
Oh, it's all cleared up. Good. Okay.
Also,
So
I don't have chlamydia.
Interesting choice of words, Rachel.
It's like that old joke. Have you stopped beating your wife, Rachel? Do you still have chlamydia?
Right. Yes or no, Rachel?
I'd never had it.
That's not a
That
yes or
would
no.
No, that is not.
All right, this episode is going off the rails.
This is the quality content people come here for.
But that was pretty much all I had for koalas. The only other thing I wanted to touch on is that they have two opposable thumbs on their hands that they use to grip branches. Oh, wait.
To hold on extra tight.
Hold on extra tight. So they have two opposable thumbs.
That's outstanding.
And two of their toes are actually fused together. And they use those fused toes, to actually comb through their wool-like fur.
They have their own grooming tools on their feet.
Attached to their feet.
Wow. That is stunning.
That's what I've got for you today.
Thanks for sharing a bit about koalas with us.
Anytime.
About a year ago, I was taking a shower and I realized we had 15 different plastic bottles in the shower. There were bottles for shampoos and conditioners, face and body washes, tile cleaners, you name it. If you're like me, you are always looking for ways to remove plastic waste from your life. So this really bothered me. How many plastic shampoo bottles will be on Earth literally forever, just so I can have clean, beautiful hair? Friends, I knew there had to be a solution, but hunting them all down online made my head spin. I didn't know who to trust. Let me tell you, I finally found the solution. Ecocation.com. That's ECOCCASION.com. Ecocation has tested and expertly curated the best ecological home solutions from around the world and put them all in one convenient place. Strange by Nature listeners get 5% off at checkout by using the code STRANGE. So be sure to check out ECOCCASION.com for all your green household needs.
All right, we're back from the break, and today I am going to start off my story with a man named Stéphane Latourant. He's in Montreal. This was the spring of 2018, and he was an insect researcher, and he was really excited because he had gotten something extremely rare and valuable. This was a batch of 13 eggs that they knew were from a very rare leaf insect from Papua New Guinea. The insect's scientific name is Phyllium asciense, and not very much is known about it. It's very hard to find leaf insects in the wild because these are insects that look pretty much exactly like leaves. So
never would have guessed.
Yeah, go figure. They're so well camouflaged. The females don't have wings, and they spend their entire lives up in the canopy unless they happen to be blown out of the tree. The males do have wings, so they will fly to where the females are to mate with them, but they're extremely rare. And in fact, for this species, the only specimens known to science were females. And so Stéphane was eagerly awaiting the hatching of these eggs so that he could find out a little bit more about the males. Well, finally, 5 of the eggs hatched into little nymphs, and Stéphane and his team offered them a variety of tasty leaves. 2 of them would not eat and died, but finally 3 of the nymphs began to develop into adults, and one of them grew to look just as leaf-like as her mom. And actually, it's really interesting because the species can be green or brown, or kind of a greeny brown, so it's a live leaf or a dead leaf or a dying leaf.
Interesting.
The other 2 started looking very different. They were skinny and looked more like sticks and started developing wings. So they were the males, but they were so different looking that you would really not know that they were the same species. In fact, I have an email I'm going to send you guys here.
Okay.
Just now.
That makes me nervous. Last time you sent us an email, there was face mites.
No, this is much less gross.
Okay.
They're kind of cute, in my opinion.
All right.
Okay, I have my email. I'm looking at it here. There's a picture.
Looking at mine.
Ooh,
Wait.
These are very cool looking. They look like kind of like oak leaves to me.
Yeah.
Wait, you said these were from Papua New Guinea.
Yes.
Huh.
They have plants with leaves in Papua New Guinea as well, Rachel.
I mean, I figured that, but I wasn't sure. I think of that as more of a tropical place, not some place with like an oak.
Well, I mean, just because it looks a bit like an oak leaf to us doesn't mean that there's another kind of tree in Papua New Guinea that doesn't have similar looking leaves.
That's
Yeah, and
very
also
true.
for our listeners at home too, it looks a bit like a fig leaf, like
It's kind of
the
oval.
fiddle fig.
Yeah.
It feels, yeah, it's kind of oval with these the 6 legs that have like really fat like biceps going down into really skinny forearms. If you compared it to like humans.
And the arms actually, there's like little leaflets coming off the arms, which to me almost look like a part of the leaf that's been chewed away by insects. It looks like a insect chewed leaf, which is even more sort of amazing that it's not a
Yes.
perfect leaf. It's sort of it's a leaf that's been beat up and chewed on, and you just walk right past it or fly right past it and wouldn't give it a second thought.
That is a
Absolutely.
camouflage adaptation that some leaf insect species have. Yeah, so good observation, Kirk. Well, so Stefan was looking at these males that had developed, looking so different and skinnier than the females. And he was in touch with another leaf insect researcher that he knew who lived in New York. And they were kind of talking back and forth. And they figured out that these males looked like a species that had been identified in 1906 and put into an entirely different genus. And it was known only from male specimens. And so they figured out that the females that were assigned to one genus and the males that were assigned to another genus were in fact the same species. They just looked completely different. Yeah,
I
so
love
awesome.
science.
so crazy. But in fact, actually not that unusual for this group of insects. So this order of insects is usually referred to as the stick insects or walking sticks, and the leaf insects are a subgroup within that. So the stick insects are known as phasmids, which I think it sounds like a superhero, in my opinion.
Pretty awesome.
These are some of the longest insects on Earth. There's one species that reaches up to 64 centimeters, which is more than 2 feet.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What?
Wait.
You said 2 feet.
Can we just go back to the point where you said it was a 2-foot long insect?
Yeah, 64 centimeters.
Oh my. You always bring the best nightmare fuel, I gotta say.
They're plant
Where
eaters.
is this so I know never to go there?
Papua New Guinea. Oh no, but we don't know where the long
These
one
insects
is.
actually occur on all the continents except for Antarctica. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know specifically where the 2-footers live. Sorry, you'll have to look that up yourself.
I know there's a limit to how big insects can get nowadays
because of the oxygen in the...
Yeah, they have the book lung, which just can't get that much oxygen out of the atmosphere. So it's surprising to hear that there can be one that's so large.
I think it's because they're so skinny is part of it.
Could be.
Anyway, this whole group has amazing camouflage, looking really a lot like sticks or leaves. Some of them can even change color, or a lot of them sway as they move to mimic trees in the wind. I'm doing that right now, so it's Kirk.
Yeah, it's a very nice sway.
Great,
I'll join
great
the sway.
radio there. Just the audience is not seeing any of that.
But in addition to the camouflage, some of them also have secondary defenses like threat displays, mimicry to look like ants or scorpions, sharp defensive spines on their legs, and sometimes smelly or painful chemical sprays. But now we get to the really weird stuff. Many phasmids
We weren't already there?
Well, this is weirder. A lot of phasmids are parthenogenic. So what that means is the females can produce eggs without fertilization from a male. And so all of the eggs will hatch as females that are clones of their mother. So these ladies are doing it for themselves.
Nice.
So in these species, there's often, go figure, a really skewed sex ratio, and males can be super rare. And it's also like with the story I started out with, there's pretty big sexual dimorphism in a lot of these species where males and females look really different. So those are just some of the really weird things that I learned about stick and leaf insects.
I
Awesome.
work
Yeah,
with leaf insects, actually. Well, They're praying mantises.
Different group, but
Yes.
they do have a kind of a leafy aspect to them, don't they?
Yeah, they do. These ones are leaf ones, so.
Yeah, all the stick insects are herbivores, and praying mantises are predators.
Yeah.
Well, one thing we will do is, if we can, we're going to get some pictures of these up on our Instagram and our Twitter and Facebook and stuff, so people can see these when the episode comes out and understand how bizarre these things really are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, that's it for today.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange. Waiting for the email. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Got one from the Alumni Association. We'll edit all this out.